everyone. Welcome to Precious Moments. I'm back with Javier. If you enjoyed the episode that we did last time, you will enjoy this one because this one is going to be so much better. If you missed the last one, you can find the previous episode in the description box below. You know, this description box thing is a bit of a tongue twister. I always have to really think about description box below. So today we're going to continue the subject of safe spaces and men. So, Javier, are you ready?
Yes, let's
Yeah.
go. What do you want to know?
Are you ready? Okay, cool. Right. So let's backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
Um, who taught you how to relate to other people? Like who taught you?
That's a good question. I'd say we. When I say we, I mean me and my siblings. I have two other brothers. We grew up in a house, all male. Only female was my mother. But we did show a lot of affection between ourselves. There was this thing we used to do where we would play with each other's ears, and we'd always just look at each other and and we'd be like and just smile. Just those sort of things we just picked up as youth. And growing up, we had a big family and an extended family as well, and we all just used to relate with each other and just play with each other. It was very playful. So I'd say just our environment and our surroundings shaped how we learn how to relate with each other.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, no, that's very good. The reason why I asked is I really do believe that how we grew up plays a very big role in how we relate when we're adults.
Absolutely.
And so a lot of things that we face when we're grown up, we always just kind of need to trace it back to our childhood.
Yeah.
I think back to when growing up, for example, my father's love language is acts of service. He will go out of his way. Like he will come home and then my mom will be like, "Oh, you forgot bread," and he'll go back. And he like that's how he shows love. That's how he shows love. Whereas for me, I'm quite an affectionate person. And so it's interesting when you find that combination of someone who's an act of service and someone who wants affection, And I don't want to speak for all African fathers, but I have found that a lot of African fathers, as far as affection is concerned, it's not their strong suit. And then just seeing the impact that has on a child's growth and the things that they tend to then do as a result of a lack of that. So do you have any experience in anything to that effect? As far as affection from a fatherly figure or a mentor or a role, that affection from a male role model.
Yeah. I would say culturally, Africans tend to display affection a lot less. And I guess it's more of the method of expressing affection and affirmation. I think we culturally tend to affirm with strength, and there is a lot of just affirming you in a strong sense rather than, I guess, embracing you in a warm way.
Right.
Which is quite surprising considering that we're from a warm land. Again, this isn't a stereotype or generalization because there are men of African culture who are very warm, who express love, they give hugs and all the rest of it. I experienced that with mentors and fathers and figures like that in my life. But culturally, I think there is that restraint from displaying that.
Yeah, it's interesting when you're talking about affirmation. I don't know if it's a Zimbabwean thing. I have heard it a lot amongst my peers. So growing up, I would find out that particularly my father was proud of me from relatives. Like, so he wouldn't say to my face that I am proud of you. But then when I'm around my relatives, they'll be like, "Oh, your father is so proud of you." And, all of these things. And it came from a place of not wanting me to become too big-headed.
Okay.
Which is interesting because at that age and that stage, that's what, it's like I was breaking my back, wanting to make him proud, not realizing that I'd already reached the mark. So it's just, it's just so interesting, the dynamics that come to play as far as, expressing. It comes back to, I guess it then comes back to his upbringing. Perhaps that's how he was brought up. Like I am, this is obviously, there's no perfect parent. And we learn from these experiences. But I just always found that interesting, that, oh my goodness, like, yeah, it's just not something I only heard it when I was much older, like probably when I was 18. That's when I heard actually him saying that I'm proud of you.
Wow.
Yeah, which is quite significant because an 18-year-old is like, at that point, all you're trying to do is to make your father proud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting. You mentioned about how everybody else was hearing all of this, and within the African culture, we do have that. We've got to create this perception. My child is the doctor. My child is the. And
engineer.
Waiting there. You see how. You see how. So that's just is a cultural thing, and yeah, when we're dealing with these sort of issues and we have these experiences, like you said, a lot of it is to do with the upbringing of our parents, and they just always carry down what they always knew. They were smacked, so they smack you. The way they spoke with their parents, the way they related was based on seniority rather than coming down to where you are and relating there. To kind of connect,
Children are seen and not heard.
Exactly.
Who are you? I'm the older person. You keep,
right?
Which makes for a very interesting dynamic because we then grow up and we're adults, expected to use our voice, but then we have been told that children are seen and not heard. And in as much as you're an adult, you're now still stuck in that child position of, I am seen and not heard. I had experience of that, of first of all being a lastborn, and just the stereotype around lastborns being the lastborn, the trouble, or don't expect much from a lastborn, or just things, that words spoken over lastborns. Then there's that, and then this whole cultural thing of children are seen and not heard, and then you grow up. And then you're in places or situations where you have a voice, you have things to say, but in your mind, you're like, I'm seen and not heard, but you're 21. It's amazing how you can be grown, but you're stuck in this place of being 5 and 6.
And it holds you back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It absolutely does. I mean, this whole inner child thing is it's amazing how I don't think people fully realize just how impacting our childhood is. Yeah. And going through a season where we unpack the lessons of our childhood, and we as grown-ups say, okay, I'm taking this out, I'm keeping this. And just even questioning the things that we believe, like, why do I believe what I believe about what I believe? Like, where did this come from? Like, bringing it to the light. I feel like we all kind of need to go through a journey of that to come to a place of wholeness, to a place of healing, because there's just a lot that we carry. That we carry. We hear this word just thrown around so flippantly, baggage, but it's actually a real thing, where if we don't, we impact the people that we come across. We now start having dysfunctional relationships. It's a common thing or an acceptable thing to hear that a man is having a midlife crisis. But why is he having a midlife crisis? Could it be because he did not have a journey of healing from what happened in his childhood? And so he continues on, and then at some point in his life is like, oh, as a 16-year-old, I was never allowed to do this. So now as a 45-year-old, I want a Ferrari. Like I wanna tint my hair blonde. Like, because he didn't go through that journey of emotional wholeness.
Yes.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I absolutely agree. I think you know, when your behavior is dictated based on your experience, we have to unwind some things. We have to go back and we have to get to the root cause. You know, some people behave in a certain way and we may think surfacely, you know, this is the reason why, but there's a deeper pressing issue. And until we get to that place where we're able to identify that cause, which is one of the reasons why I really trust in the process of, you know, having relationships, people that are trusting that you can have these conversations with, and also with the help of the Holy Spirit to really unpack some of the wounds and just some of the limiting beliefs about ourselves, which will stop us from coming out and doing the things and being the people we're called to be, you know, and fulfilling our purpose. So it's absolutely crucial that we get to a place of emotional wholeness so that we can fully be the people that we're called to be.
In my experience, I'm not saying this is all men, but in my experience, whether it's personally, whether it's friends, let's say a breakup has happened.
Right.
There is this whole thing where a woman will take a year or more. This is stereotypical, like, you know, I'm not saying this is everyone, to heal, to unpack, and to, you know, all of that. Whereas a man, within a month, 2 months, 3 months, they're dating the next person. And then, you know, it's very rare. It's very rare. That's why, I don't know if you remember a few months ago, we were at Bible college and you were doing something like, Pooja, I'm like, hey, what's going on? You know, tell me what's going on in your life.
Right.
And then I asked you about relationships and you're like, oh no, I'm just, you know, I'm taking a break from that. I just need to do what I need to do. And I looked at you, I'm like, you know, good on you. You know, because in that moment, I was like, oh my goodness, I actually don't think I had heard a guy say, you know what, I'm just going to take time and just do what I need to do. What do you need to say about that?
Oh, that is a loaded question. That is a loaded question. But I think it's an important one. And I think it's because of this idea of having so many casual relationships and the lack of commitment. You know, you got involved in a relationship with somebody. Why didn't it work? What were the issues? What went wrong? You know, let's learn from that experience. You may not necessarily have been hurt. You may have come out a better person. If that's the case, then good on you. You know, we came together. At least I left you in a better place, and I learned and I grew. But then bouncing into another relationship, the reason why we do that, like I said, is because of this casual thing that we have, and also just not really knowing what we want. As a man, I think we have to get to a point where we let go of the boy stuff. You know. Yeah, we have to let it go. The here and the there, neither or. It's not productive, especially and it depends on where you are in life and what season you're at. But I think the earlier the better. Because you want to be stable, you want to be secure, you want to know what you're offering, and be secure in that, rather than being somebody who's just gonna waste your time. Jumping from relationships to relationships, it's counterproductive. It's not helping anybody. Again, it doesn't. I mean, everything for me, it starts from friendship. So as long as you're just friends, if I can have, I mean, I have a lot of friends, male and female friends, and it's fine. Hopefully the idea is that something will blossom from that, you know, but then just rushing too much in the process and not really finding yourself and knowing what it is that you want, that's when you just cause issues.
No, absolutely, I agree. I am all for the journey of finding what you want, because I mean, I look at myself now and I'm like, thank goodness that I didn't, or I wasn't in a relationship when I wanted to be in a relationship, because I have changed so much. And it's not so much that I've changed, it's just that I've become more me. I've become more me by shedding what's not me.
That's good.
You know? And I feel like people go into relationships and they're not themselves. And so what happens is that they go into a relationship and somewhere along the lines, they go through a journey of healing, and they awaken to who they are, and then they look at the person they are with, and they're like, oh my goodness, what a mismatch. Why? Because you were in a relationship when you were not whole, and so you made the decision from a broken place.
Yeah.
And then now you're married, and then you're like, that's when people are like, oh, we outgrew ourselves. You know?
I mean, I'm just praying and hoping the right people are listening. This is good stuff, and you're right.
Yeah.
You know, we grow into ourselves.
Yeah.
And at different stages and at different points in our lives, we don't have it all figured out.
Yeah.
We don't fully know what it is that we want, what we like, what we don't like, who we are, what we stand for. And so at that particular time in life, you're a particular type of way, you have an outlook on life, you have a worldview, and this is what you like. And so you're going to go for that. But that's not necessarily where you're going to be, because life is about change. You're constantly growing, you're constantly changing. And so what you're going to look for in an opposite partner or opposite sex may not be the same thing you liked 2 years ago, 6 months ago, a month ago. You know, things change, things happen. And so we've got to be so discerning about the season and the point in life where we decide, okay, now is the time for me to get into dating and seeing somebody, because I know it's going to be more serious.
Yeah, exactly. Goodness, it's getting hot. It's getting hot in here. But you know what? This is all from us for now.
That's right.
Thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed. This is the last time we're seeing Javier for now. I know, boo. But it's been great having you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And yeah, men, I hope you're listening. Women, I hope you're listening. And I hope men and women, you're facilitating these conversations between each other, because we are the generation of the hour, and it is up to us to set the pace for what the people, or the generation that comes after us, experience. We don't want to traumatize the next generation. So until next month, goodbye. Hi everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like, don't forget to share, and don't forget to subscribe. And we would love to hear from you, so drop your comments in the box below. That's all for me for now. Bye.